Howard here with Ramble On from Led Zeppelin, of course. I've gotten a lot of requests for this in the past, so I'm finally getting around to doing it, okay? And a shout out to a few of my students who have learned this in private instruction with me. So basically what I'm doing with this, there's several guitars on the original recording, right? But what I'm doing in this tutorial is I'm basically combining bits and pieces of the studio recording with the way Jimmy played it at the O2 Arena, and then of course many people have seen him kind of play a cool little version of it in the film, It Might Get Loud. So I'm kind of borrowing from all of that to make it playable and accessible on one guitar. But I will talk again about some of the studio bits as well, okay? So let's get started. The first thing we have is an E bar chord, 7th fret on the A string, and then we are barring with our ring finger the D, the G, and the B strings, okay? And we want to incorporate that open E, the 6th string, into it, but we don't want to be picking or striking the first E string. So what we have basically, keep in mind that Jimmy plays this very loose, okay? It's not exactly the same every time, so we won't go there, but basically what we have is this. Okay, so before I talk about the strumming, let's just talk about what's happening there. You're releasing the ring finger, okay, off of the 3 strings and barring across the first 5 strings, again, with that open E in there. Kind of a D over E if you want. That's the gist of it. And so you can see I've got this down, up, down, up, down, up, down, okay? Again, he plays this really loosely, but to kind of define it and make it playable, that's where we're gonna go, okay? So we have... and then you want to hammer with the ring finger to the 9th fret on the A string. And sometimes Jimmy hangs on to that before he goes to the next chord, but other times he kind of comes off of the finger, and I think that sounds really good. So let me play that nice and slow. Or if you like, and then go to the next chord. But the idea here is to kind of keep strumming but capture that rhythm. Right? And then we move to an A triad, 5th fret on the B string, 6th fret on the G string, 7th fret on the A string, and we've got the open 5th string A in there as well as the first E string. See what I'm doing. I'm hammering up with my pinky to the 7th fret on the G string. So let's talk about where that happens inside the strumming pattern. So we've got down, another downstroke, and that's where you do your hammer on. And once you get into that, you just do alternate strokes. With the pinky coming off right there. Down, 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 up, down, up, down, down. That'll basically get you in the ballpark. And then finish out the rhythm, finish out the measure with just some loose, jangly strumming. Nice and slow. And sometimes on the studio recording, you even hear his first finger come off. Pretty cool, right? Once again, I can't emphasize enough how loose it is, okay? How it's supposed to be played. But that will get you in the ballpark, okay? Now, what we do when we start it again is we slide all the way from the 2nd fret on the A string into the chord. But the strumming stays the same. And that will get you definitely in the zone. Now, what follows when Jimmy plays this live is this. right? That's a great lick. On the studio recording, it feels like there's more picking, if you know what I mean, but you can see it in It Might Get Loud and even, again, the O2 Arena. So let's talk about the lick itself first, and then we'll incorporate the open strings. You can see it on the tab, but here it is nice and slow. So we're at the 11th fret on the G string, full step, bend, and release, and then pull off to the 9th fret. And come back to the 11th fret on the D string, and then 9, 11 on the G string. And you can play this next part with pull-offs if you want. Or you can also just play it with slides. I kind of like playing it with slides. I think it sounds cool that way. So once again, let me just play it nice and slow, and you can see the tab. So we're playing slide 7 to 6, 3 strokes of the pick, and then from 6 to 4, same pattern, 3 strokes of the pick after you make the slide. And we've got a little pull off there. And sometimes when he plays it, you don't always hear that. He just kind of slides there. So again, it's loose, and you can decide what works best for you. But the main thing about this lick is you want to play the lick on the G string like that, but incorporating the open E and B strings. You just let them jangle and ring through. Again, you can see that pretty clearly on the It Might Get Loud. He just lets them come through, and he keeps strumming nice and loosely. Right? And then we are into the chorus, which brings us back to those opening chords, the same chords, but we have. And you want to mute the strings wherever is comfortable for you, but down around the 2nd to the 5th fret, you're going to hear less harmonics coming through, right? And sometimes, of course, he plays, worth mentioning or emphasizing again. So we have this. All right, so what's happening there is we've got our first finger on the 3rd fret on the B string. Ring finger is on the 5th fret on the D string. And we're basically employing the first 5 strings, meaning from the open A string all the way down, right? And it's not a perfect art for sure, right? But whatever comes through is cool. So we're going to strike that chord and slide it a whole step up. Now, once we've got that whole step slide, we've got a downstroke and an upstroke, okay? So we've got down, down, up. And then we're going to slide it in reverse. So we have. Now this is really interesting. It's sort of like a reverse hammer-on. So what I'm doing there is I'm dropping from the 5th fret on the D string to the 4th fret. Right? So it's kind of a reverse hammer-on, if you know what I mean. But you do the same thing. You treat it as a slide, followed by that downstroke and that upstroke. Now once you've done that, it's come back to the 5th fret and then back to the 4th fret, but not as a hammer-on. You're actually strumming that, okay? So here it is really slowly. And then you repeat it from the E chord. So we have. The verses, okay? Then what we're going to hear is those harmony guitars, right? And then the other one is playing. But But what Jimmy does when he plays it live is he combines the two together. So that's what you're going to see on the tab right now. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to bar across the B string and the G string at the 14th fret, okay? And then you place your second finger on the 15th fret on the B string, and then your ring finger on the 16th fret on the G string. You can give it a little vibrato if you want, and then you pull like that. Right? Then take this up a whole step, that configuration. You're taking it up to 17 and 18. So we have pretty cool little part, right? And then it breaks out into the chorus again. Right? And then we hear those other harmony guitars, and Jimmy just plays the main line when he plays it live because it's virtually impossible to play both lines, right? But here's the main line that he plays. All right. It's a pull-off in front, and then the rest of the notes are basically picked, although you can incorporate more pull-offs if you would like to. And then, of course, he has a harmony guitar playing this. So if you're playing with another guitar player, you can always incorporate that into the mix as well, okay? And then on the last verse, I believe it's the last verse, Jimmy has this really cool pattern, which I love. And it's played one way on the studio recording, but he plays it slightly differently live. I kind of prefer the studio version because it's a little bit bluesier. Live, he kind of plays it like this. Something like that, right? You can see him do this. But on the studio recording, it's really cool because he incorporates the D note at the 7th fret on the G string. And so what we hear is this. I love that. It just sounds great. And you can incorporate some slides in there as well, and it gives it even a little bit more flavor. I just love that, okay? So let me play that for you nice and slow with the tab on the screen. So what you're doing is you're barring across the A, the D, and the G strings at the 9th fret, and then hammering with your ring finger to the 11th fret on the A string. And then we kind of do the same thing, but we're just barring across the D string and the G strings, and we play. That's more or less what you hear on the studio recording, although he varies things slightly. So together we have... And then again, I like to do this with a slide, but you can do it with a hammer on. So we're sliding from 7 to 9 or hammering, and then pick the 9th fretted note again, and back. And finishing it off with 6 to 7 on the D string. So let me play that really slowly. can see, you can really mix it up with slides and hammer-ons. Whatever sounds good to you is great, okay? So there you go with a kind of composite version, if you will, of Ramble On, kind of bringing all three areas together. Anyway, I hope you really enjoyed the lesson, and as always, thanks for watching, and I shall see you guys in the next video.